Hey everybody, I'm out in the greenhouse today. It's Barbara. This is another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. And today we are starting seeds. So I'm in the greenhouse and I thought I would take you along with me as I'm starting seeds. I've already started some like a week ago, but I needed to start some more today. So I thought I'd take you along with me and we can talk about starting seeds and all the things. So if you have started your seeds, that is fantastic depending on what zone you're in. If you haven't started your seeds, depending on what zone you're in, you still have time. So let's talk about how to start seeds and the journey to do that. All right, let's go. Okay, so first, let me give you the disclaimer. The disclaimer is this is only my second time starting seeds. So for those who've been watching me, you know that I am a new gardener. So this is like my second, I guess, full year that I will be doing it. So I started seeds 2 years ago in 2020, and it was an epic failure, okay? And I was so this was my first foray into gardening because remember, I built the raised beds in April, so I think I started seeds in like, I don't know, the end of March. I had somebody come over, give me some supplies, kind of told me what to do, and they, left me to my own devices. Y'all, it didn't work, okay? And so I didn't even attempt to start seeds last year because quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little intimidated because it did not go well. And I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong. Well, now looking back, I didn't have a lot of information. And so I determined, and I'm making myself do seeds this year because I've got to get this right. And so one of the things that I always talk about on this channel is that you must start, right? And you can't give up. You got to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. So it's been 2 years since I started seeds. I have done a lot of research. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, right, to get the information and to understand the science behind it and how you do it properly. So we are attempting to do it again this year, and by God's grace, it's going to work. It is going to work. I know way more than I did when that individual just dropped them off in my house and said, hey, do this and put them in front of a window. That may work for some. It did not work for me, okay? And also, I didn't have a lot of information about when to start seeds, the timing, and all of that. So I want to kind of go through all of that, what I've learned and what I've been researching, and share it with you guys in case you're struggling too. And this is your first time, so we can kind of do it together. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what to plant when. And so I'm going to pull just a seed packet. So if you look on the back of your seed packet, depending on where you got them, I'm going to plant some basil today. It'll tell you when to start seeds indoors if it's recommended to do that, right? So it'll say something like start seeds indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost, okay? So the first thing you need to know when starting seeds is when is your last frost, right? Simple. If you don't know that, just Google it. Put in your city and state last frost date. Or go to the, I think it's the Farmer's Almanac or whatever. You can go to that website. I'll put it down in the description and then just put in last frost. So I'm in zone 7A and my expected last frost is April the 18th. Okay. So next I have my frost date because I've Googled it, right? And so whatever zone you're in, wherever you live, just do the same thing. Just Google last frost date, get that date, and then get you a calendar and count backwards, right? So right now I'm about 6 weeks away from my last frost date, okay? So anything that says plant 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date, 6 weeks before the last frost date, 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost date, I'm good to plant today, right? So it's pretty simple. Okay, y'all, I didn't even know that in the beginning. I just had some seeds. Again, she gave me some seeds, she gave me the materials, and I put the seeds in there and I put them in front of a windowsill. I bought a heat mat, I don't know, like a couple of weeks later, put them in front of the windowsill. I watered them, and yeah, I did have germination, but they were leggy and they just kind of didn't grow strong, right? And so now looking back, and now that I've read and researched and gotten some more advice, I know a couple of different things that I'll be trying different this year, right? So in terms of I've already started some seeds, and I'm going to show you the seeds I've already started last week. And I do have some germination, which is fantastic. So first thing I did was to find my last frost date. Then I just got a calendar and counted backwards. And then I actually went through, well, one other step. There was another downloadable that I found from another person that I follow that had a seed starting calculator. And it's like an Excel spreadsheet. And you put the last frost date in there and everything kind of populates for you, right? So it kind of tells you, okay, here is the actual date that's 6 weeks before. Now, you don't have to be that fancy. Just get on a calendar, right? And just count backwards. So then the next thing I did was I looked at all of the seeds to see if it was recommended to direct sow them or to start indoors, right? So there's some things that I'm not going to start indoors or in the greenhouse because it's better to direct sow it, okay? So you'll see me kind of talking through some of those things as well. The next thing was, once you know, okay, these start 8 weeks before, these start 7 weeks before, these start 4 weeks before, then you can kind of categorize and kind of put them in bundles, right? And so everything that I started on last week, which was 7 weeks, like 7.5 weeks before my frost date, was in that category. So I had them all together and kind of just did them all together, right? I did my tomatoes, I did my peppers, I did some flowers, I did some herbs, all of that good stuff, right? So I think it's best to have kind of like an organized system so you don't just plant everything at the same time, right? Look at the back of your seed packet. There's a lot of information. So this happens to be Baker's Creek. They kind of give you, I'm not going to say the least amount of information, but if you get a Johnny seed, let me see if I have a Johnny seeds pack in here. Let's see. Johnny seeds, if you buy Johnny seeds, they give you a lot of information on the back of the packet. A lot. It tells you where, how long to sow before indoors. It tells you how many seeds. It tells you if you have a 50-foot row or a 100-foot row. It tells you all the things, right? And so anyway, look on the back of your seed packet. It'll tell you how many weeks before that you're supposed to start it. Okay. So then next is just figuring out what are you going to start your seeds in. And so this year, again, because this is kind of like my do-over, the last time I had like these little bitty trays that were similar, let me see, similar to this, but smaller. You can kind of see how deep that is. So they were probably half this size is what the individual gave me before, right? So this time I'm trying a lot of different methods because I want to see and experiment what I like, what grows the best, what was easiest for me, what was hardest for me. So again, if you already know what works for you, rock with what goes with what goes with you, right? But for me, I like to experiment. I like to know for myself. I don't like to just take information from somebody and just do it that way and then never branch off and try something different. Okay. So what you'll see is that I have, let me see if I can bring you closer. Y'all see my germination? Yay! So I planted, I started these seeds a week ago. And so this is 128 cell, what they call a plug tray. Okay. So that I have this as one of them, right? As in terms of a medium to plant in. There's many different kinds. So this is one kind. It's called a plug tray. You can get them in 128, 36, 72, 144, you know, whatever you're fancy. I bought these last year from Amazon, and I think they came like 5 in a pack, right? 128 cells. So if you're planting a lot of stuff, this is a great way to do it. Okay. So let me take it out so that you can see. You can see that it's not very deep, right? They are pretty small, right? Not very deep. Okay. So again, that's something to think about when you decide what you're going to plant in. Okay. So you can plant in the cell plug trays. If so, then you're going to have to up pot them, mean put them in a bigger pot, probably before it's time to put them in the ground, because you can see how short that is. There's not a lot of depth. So you don't have a lot of room for the roots to grow, right? So especially like if you wanted to do tomatoes in there, there's no way that you're going to take it from there to the ground in 6 weeks with tomatoes because there won't be enough space for it to grow. Okay. The other thing that I'm trying are these. This is a 2.5-inch pot. And again, nothing has grown yet, right? I only have some germination, but I can tell you, just going through the process of planting in different mediums already, right now, this is my favorite, right? This size right here is 2.5 inches. I did all of my tomatoes in these pots, and I did all of my peppers. The goal is that I will be able to take this from the cup to the garden, right? So I won't have to up pot meaning move it to a bigger pot, right? Because this is long enough for the root system to grow, and it has enough space in it, okay? You can see it has those holes at the bottom. Now, these I bought off of Bootstrap Farmer, okay? That's another thing. When I did the seed starting 2 years ago, I got some supplies from Walmart and whatever my friend gave me, right? Again, there is no shame or no judgment if that's what you like. This year, I actually invested in better quality products, and I can tell the difference, right? So these seeds have been at my house for the past week. I brought them down to the greenhouse today to show you, and because I'm starting some more. And again, the weather is nice, right? So in order for me to travel with them in my car, you need some pretty sturdy equipment, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, the equipment that I've gotten this year that I love is from Bootstrap Farmer. The quality is amazing. Are you gonna pay more for it? Yes, you are. But this I'll have for years and years and years and years, okay? So I have these cups, okay? And I'll show you what it looks like here. So 32 of those cups fit in this tray. This tray is called a 1020 flat, okay? That's also from Bootstrap Farmer. So you can kind of see all of the cups there. And these are the ones that I did like 2 days ago. So they haven't germinated as of yet. Okay. So you can plant in plug trays. You can plant in these little 2.5-inch cups. You can plant in these. These are just some plants that I bought from Home Depot, and I kept the containers. You can plant in those. I've heard people say that you can plant in red solo cups. I've heard people say you can plant in egg cartons. At the end of the day, you can plant in a lot of stuff. Okay. So also the peat pellets, they are like how do I describe it? They're peat moss, and I think a cocoa, or if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, it like comes in a little disc like that. You put water on it and it expands, and you can put your seeds in it. I'll tell you already, I'm not liking those. I did those, and it just looks like to me like it's still dry. The whole point is that it's supposed to expand and hold more moisture, but I keep looking at it and I'm like, is there anything happening? And it just looks dry to me all the time. So again, the jury's still out, because they may be some of the most amazing seeds I grow. But I'll just tell you, since I have tried, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different methods. No, I have 5 different methods I've tried. I also have another method that I tried, and I'll have to show you that because I left it up at the house. But it is more of a deeper cup, and you can they have a little thing that you can push up at the bottom to make it easy to come out, and you can just put it right in your garden. Okay, so those are all the different mediums you can use to, and I'm sure there's more that I don't know about, to plant your seeds in. Next, you got to fill them up with whatever you're gonna use. And so this right here, you can see this is potting mix. Okay, so I did use seed starting mix, which is lighter, which is fluffier, for the plug tray, right? And here's the reason why I did something different. So from everything that I read, when you use the seed starting mix, it is great to get things started. It is great for germination. It's light, it's fluffy, it's airy, and so the seeds can really just take off, right? The thing about it is that it doesn't have any fertilization in it. And so from what I've read is that after a couple of weeks, you have to add fertilizer when you start in seed starting mix. Okay. So my rationale that I used, again, this is me trying it out. I used my seed starting mix for the things that I knew were going to have to be up potted. So like the 128 cell tray, because I know that's not going to be its forever home, and they're going to have to go into something bigger before they go into the garden. When I do that, I will use potting soil with fertilizer, because I already know I'm going to have to transplant into something bigger, right? But for these, because I know they're going to go from here to the garden, that I went ahead and used potting mix. And I'm just using an organic potting mix. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is finish filling up these with potting soil. And then the next thing you want to do is that you want to pre-moisten your mix. Okay, again, didn't know that before, but from everything I've read, you want to go ahead and pre-moisten your soil before you put your seeds in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna take you guys with me as I fill up all of these pots, and we'll be ready to plant. Okay, y'all, so I have put potting mix in all of the containers, and I have pre-moistened it. And so now we're ready to plant seeds. So really, y'all, I say it's just that simple, like I'm an expert, but it is just that simple. And again, we're going to see, and like I said, by God's grace, I'm going to have some good results. I'm claiming it right now. So let me show you today what I'm planting. And then these are the plant tags that I have. I got them off Amazon. I like these for the seeds. I have some bigger ones that I use for in the garden, but these right here came from Amazon. I think I got a box of like 200 or whatever on Amazon. So, because when you're planting seeds, you need a lot of those. So today, this is what I am planting. I'm planting some flowers. So I'm planting some larkspur. You guys know that I am attempting to do cut flowers this year, along with my vegetables. I'm going to do some more cabbage. I did some cabbage in the plug tray, and you can see it's already germinating and looking good, but I wanted to try it in one of these. And because my cabbage from the fall, it's still moving slow, y'all. I have 3 heads. They're small, and plus I love cabbage, and I can store it or I will give it away. So you can see, like on the 128 cell tray, y'all, that's a lot of stuff, right? And did I do a calculation about how much do I need for my family size? I did not, because this time, y'all, I'm just trying to learn how to grow seeds. If I have excess, I will give it away. Okay, I will give it away to friends, family, anybody. Now, you got to be somebody who's gonna put it in the ground and grow it. I'm not, meaning if I don't have the space here to grow it, then I will give it to somebody who has a garden. Now, if I have the space here to grow it and it's just too much food, I will give it away. Okay, just that simple. So I have some cabbage here. I'm doing some basil. I have like 3 different kinds of basil that I'm going to start today. So this is Thai sweet basil. This is lemon basil. And then I have a cardinal basil. So the cardinal basil I'm going to use as a filler in my cut flowers. There's more. And then I also have some snapdragons that I'm going to do. And I also have some of those as well in the plug tray. They have not germinated yet. Let me see what it says on the germin. It says 8 to 14 days germination. So these were planted last Sunday. So this week I should start seeing these pop up. But again, I'm going to plant some more. And then today I'm going to plant some lemon balm, some spinach, and some eggplant, and some sage. So a lot of herbs. And then some Dusty Miller. So this is going to be, again, for flowers. So everything that I have here, again, I've looked on the back of the package and it says when to start inside, recommended. Okay. So this one right here says 8 to 10 weeks before your average last frost date. So obviously, y'all, I'm at what, did I say 7 or 6? I'm at like 6.5 weeks. So I'm a little behind on this one, but I think my rationale is better to be behind than too early, right? And I can still just put it out whenever it gets ready, okay? So that is what I'm planting today. So basically, let's start with the larkspur, okay? So I'm just gonna get a tag, and I just write on here what it is. Like that. Stick it in here at the end. And then these seeds are tiny. You can see that. So usually I just do 2 seeds in case one doesn't germinate, and I just drop it in there. Now again, and I'm gonna do these other 2 right here beside it, and then just kind of cover it up. So it'll also tell you how much seed depth. This is really important. This is another thing that, again, it might have been one of the reasons why I did not have good germination on some of my seeds I started 2 years ago, because I did not know this, right? So the seed depth matters. A lot of people, from what I understand, plant too deep. And what happens is if you plant too deep, then the reason why your seeds you think may not have germinated is because they're too far down in the soil. And so they're using all their energy to germinate, but they don't have enough energy to break through the soil and start to get the photosynthesis, the light, to actually keep growing. So that's why the seed depth is really important. Y'all, I did not know that. That's the reason you got to pay attention to your packet. So this one says 1/4 of an inch, which is nothing. Another rule of thumb is plant the seed 2 times as deep as it is wide. Y'all saw how little that seed was. So that's like literally on the top, and then just put a little dirt over it. Okay. Versus when you have a bigger seed, like a pepper is even bigger than that. That might be, you know, further down, or a, what's another seed that's big? It's not coming to me, but basically whatever size of the seed, plant twice as deep as it is wide. Okay. Or just follow the directions on the back of your packet. Okay. So y'all, that's it. That is it in terms of what to do. So we're going to all pray, hold hands, that it works. So I'm just going to finish filling up my seeds, right? The soil is already moistened, right? So then the next thing that you do is, this is a humidity dome. You're going to put this over it to keep the moisture in and to keep it moist so that it can germinate, right? Most things like heat and the moisture to germinate. Once it starts to germinate, you take this off. Again, I did not do that. I had this on here the whole time because I did not know. But you're supposed to take this off once your seeds start to germinate, and then you can you know, put a grow light on them if they're not outside. They're indoors. Like, so inside my house where they've been, I have a grow light that the ones that have germinated have been under. Okay, so when you start your seeds, moisten, plant your seeds, put the humidity dome over it, and also use a heat mat if it's indoors. I think the optimal temperature is between 70 to 80 degrees, right? So the heat mat speeds up the germination. And y'all, I can tell the difference because these germinated in 2 days in the plug tray on the heat mat. Okay, so plants need heat, they need light, and they need moisture. Okay, so the other thing is to keep them watered. Now, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just telling you what I've read and what I've seen. Everybody says is to check your moisture daily. If it starts to look light brown, like before I watered these, there were spots that were light brown and spots that were dark brown, which tells me the ones that were light brown needed some water, right? It's supposed to be moist, but not soppy wet, okay? The other thing that I'm going to try, and maybe I'll do a different video on once these start to germinate and you can kind of see the progress, is bottom watering. Instead of watering up the top, put water in the bottom of your tray and let the water come through the bottom. I did not do that last time, so I'm going to try that again. I'm going to try it again. Try it this year, brand new. So thank you guys so much for starting seeds with me. I'm going to go ahead and fill up this tray with all of my seeds. And I'm going to put the humidity dome in it. I'm going to look at the weather. I may keep this stuff out in the greenhouse, but I think we're supposed to have another cold situation going on. If so, I'll take them back up to the house where they'll be on a heat mat. And once they germinate, they'll be under the grow light. But of course, you guys know I'll be giving you some updates on my progress. So I hope that this was helpful for somebody that's brand new that may be intimidated. Don't be intimidated. I'm telling you from a place of intimidation, right? But I'm determined. I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn. If this year's an epic fail, I'm going to try it again, because this is a game changer. If you can do your seeds from here to the ground, it's cheaper, right? It's more self-sustainable. Okay. So I got to get this and you got to get it. Okay. So remember, this is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time.